The week in pro wrestling started out good with actually a good Monday Night Raw. With that said, you guys know what time it is. Let's round up the top 5 wrestling news and rumors to keep all of you savages updated. Hit those notifications to never miss an upload, and let's get into it. On Monday, WWE ended up releasing their pay-per-view schedule for 2022, and at least one of those weekends they're gonna be going up against AEW. There are some notable changes to the schedule, as WrestleMania 38 will indeed take place over the course of 2 nights once again. SummerSlam is being moved up from August to late July, and the big topic of discussion right now is that WWE is holding a pay-per-view event on Labor Day weekend, which should be noted that that is when AEW historically holds one of their biggest pay-per-view, All Out, and it usually happens on a Saturday, and it just happened that most of pay-per-views next year for WWE are gonna be on a Saturday. So that head-to-head competition could be going down on Labor Day weekend, but there's a possibility that it might not, because Fightful Select is indicating that that weekend's pay-per-view could be the one being held in the UK, which means that it might happen early on in the day, around 3 p.m. Eastern Time or 4 p.m. Eastern Time, while AEW All Out takes place later on in the night at a regular time, since it's happening in the US. As for why we're getting more Saturdays pay-per-view, WWE decisions to do this move during football season was apparently seen as a positive this year, especially for the SmackDown talent. Saturday's pay-per-view just seems to be more appealing among the wrestlers. Fightful also added that WrestleMania being in the course of 2 nights instead of 1 is said to be a popular move, and it looks like WWE is gonna continue that from now on. On the topic of AEW, there has been praise by fans and internally in WWE about Chad Gable in-ring work, but it's clear that WWE management doesn't necessarily see that, as he really hasn't gotten any type of push and continued to be part of that mid-card division. And interestingly enough, the Wrestling Observer Radio ended up indicating that because of how good he is, friends of his are reportedly urging him to leave WWE and of course potentially join AEW. Meltzer indicated, quote-unquote, that he's definitely has friends telling him the same thing, and I know it's been one of those things that's under consideration, but I don't think he's going anywhere. One of the reasons up to why he might not be going to AEW is the fact that apparently Chad Gable is making a lot of money on WWE, money which AEW ultimately is probably not gonna want to offer him. He's still got some time in his contract with WWE, but I figured this was worth mentioning because this type of reports in regards to Chad Gable continue to wrap around, even with FTR, who are good friends with Chad Gable, tweeting him that it's time for him to come to AEW. There's a lot of news in regards to Charlotte Flair right now, so it's time for a bit of an update after what went down and what we learned on Saturday, where after SmackDown we had Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch getting into a confrontation backstage because of the debacle title switch segment that went down. Adding to all of that, PW Torch ended up indicating that of course Charlotte Flair has backstage heat, and that heat is such that no woman in WWE wants to work with her right now. There's other reports indicating that Becky Lynch was praised backstage for sticking it to Charlotte and standing up to her, which it seems to be something that no one has been able to do, as of course it's a bit scary because Charlotte is on that top position where it will certainly be hard to go against her. Furthermore, Fightful Select says that Charlotte has been outspoken about WWE creator for some time now, and there are those within the locker room who doubt the story about her wanting to lose the title to Bianca Belair. That was another report that was going around, but I didn't necessarily cover it because we just didn't know too much specifics of it, but apparently Charlotte wanted to put over Bianca on their title match last week, but nothing really seems to add up with everything that's been going around. And that the last bit of update in regards to this situation, PW Insider is reporting that while the Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair confrontation happened in full view of Vince McMahon and Bruce Prichard, 2 different sources are saying that Sonya Deville was said to be very angry with Charlotte Flair and that she was mad enough to want to fight her at one point, and much like Becky Lynch, she was also said to have an argument with Flair backstage. To add to all of that, I guess that was in the last update on it, the Wrestling Wrestling Observer indicates that right now WWE is said to be in a very tricky situation because they can't really release Charlotte Flair because chances are she's gonna go over to AEW. That's pretty much a 100%. And the other option will be to discipline her, to give her some type of punishment, to learn from this situation. But if they do that, then they will have to do the same to others over their backstage behavior. The source quote-unquote indicated that they have their hands full with this situation. That brings up the question, what is going to be happening with Charlotte Flair's current title run? Are they going to continue it like nothing happened? And what is Survivor Series going to be looking like? Are we still getting Becky versus Charlotte? Or who knows, maybe Sasha Banks grabs that title before the actual pay-per-view. Big update in regards to Roman Reigns and what's to come. Latest reports indicate that WWE is building Roman Reigns up to be the greatest champion of all time. Sources from WrestlingNews.co indicated that as part of all of that, he is set to break Brock Lesnar's record to become the longest Universal title reign. The Wrestling Observer Radio also speculated that Roman Reigns is now planned as the main event for WrestleMania 38. But that is just a speculation. That matchup could obviously happen even sooner, especially with so many reports indicating that Brock Lesnar is going to be back for the Royal Rumble. But we don't know if he's going to have a singles match against Roman, or if maybe he's going to enter the Royal Rumble to try to win another opportunity. The possibility is there. The point is, though, that Roman Reigns will need to hold the Universal Championship past the Royal Rumble and all the way up to WrestleMania in order to break that record, which means that if he faces Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble, then chances are Roman is gonna win some way, somehow. Maybe Brock gets screwed once again, or it's a double count or something like that, which then leads to another big matchup for them. Point is, Roman versus Brock is gonna last forever. Obviously, in between time though, as Brock Lesnar is a massive part-timer, Roman Reigns is gonna be facing other opponents. And last but not least, a big spoiler for WWE NXT Halloween Havoc going down tonight. Not necessarily the biggest surprise, but it looks like we could be getting a massive title change. WrestleVote ended up reporting that source states that tonight's Halloween Havoc looks to be the launching of the Braun Breaker era in NXT. At the same time, Tommaso Ciampa's run in NXT could be winding down. As evident, the youth movement within NXT 2.0 continues. So that is your top 5 of wrestling news of the day. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below of anything that we discussed today. One last thing, I did do a poll in the community tab asking you guys what you thought of Monday Night Raw, and I think we agree. Surprisingly, this was a good Monday Night Raw this week. That main event was awesome. With all of that said, thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you on the next one, so stay savage.